The client is a small restaurant group in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And one day I received a call from a restaurant manager saying that he had denied the transfer for a server from another restaurant and that I might be getting a call because she was a little upset. He also proceeds to explain that a few weeks prior, he and another male server had met this female server at a restaurant where she works and had invited her out for drinks. But he assured me nothing happened and he really was just wanting to know if he was in trouble. I advised him that probably not the best idea. However, the company doesn't have a fraternization policy. But when you make those kind of decisions, you have to remember you're still a representative of the company in a leadership role, and whether you're on or off duty, you still have to act in that capacity. A few weeks later, I receive a call from this female server saying that she wants to file a sexual harassment complaint against this restaurant manager. She proceeds to explain that she was working one night where both this restaurant manager and this server showed up at her restaurant. They encouraged her to leave work early as they wanted to go out and have drinks and they wanted her to join them. She ended up going out with them. They had some drinks, and midway through the evening she noticed that this server got up and left the table and disappeared for about 15-20 minutes. Meanwhile, this restaurant manager continued to engage in small talk, asking her about her personal life, asking her about her boyfriend, proceeded to ask her about her sex life. When this waiter returned, a few minutes later, he got up and left again. This time, the restaurant manager proceeds to tell her that he really likes her, finds her attractive, and he wants to have sex with her. Furthermore, he starts rubbing her leg, and then he kisses her on the cheek and tries to forcefully kiss her on the mouth. Immediately after, he takes her hand and puts it in his crotch where he had unzipped his pants and exposed himself. She obviously was upset and she exited the restaurant and she ran into this male waiter. He asked what happened, why are you upset, why are you leaving? And she went on to say she was just having a bad night. After she explained her story, I asked if there were any witnesses, had she told anybody about this incident, which she confirmed there was a witness, which was the waiter. She did run into him in the parking lot, but she also went back and told her supervisor at where she worked, who then encouraged her to reach out to me. I immediately got her statement and reached out to the director of operations for the business, explained to him what we had, and together we made a decision that we were going to go ahead and set up an investigation, and the first step would be to interview her supervisor, which we did. We got feedback from her supervisor, which while she wasn't there, she didn't know what happened. All she was able to tell us was the state of condition that this female server was in and the story that she told. We then went ahead and interviewed the male server, and he proceeded to explain and confirm that yes, they went out, they did have drinks, and on 2 occasions the restaurant manager texted him and asked him to leave the table and go outside the restaurant, which he did. And on the second occasion, when he was coming back in, he ran into the female server, who was hysterical at the time. And he proceeded to ask her what's going on. He escorted her to her car, in which she just said she was having a bad night and she wanted to go home. The next day, we took steps to interview the restaurant manager, and he denied ever having any knowledge of this type of incident. He says that they went out and had drinks, but that was it. And at this point, we got a statement from him. Well, a few days later, the female server, sends me text messages showing where she and the restaurant manager had been engaging in text conversation. He essentially was continuing to text her, telling her that he liked her, wanted to have sex with her. Well, I took this information and presented it to the restaurant manager, asking him to explain what this information was. He proceeded at this point to acknowledge that yes, he had asked her if she wanted to have a relationship, and that however nothing else had happened. I went ahead and got his statement, and we suspended him pending further investigation. After getting his statement, we went back and looked at all the statements. We confirmed the timeline, and we also reached out to the owner of the company and had a conference call. And what we proposed was to terminate based on a quid pro quo case of sexual harassment. The owner didn't want to. The owner felt that this was a restaurant manager who had made a mistake. The restaurant manager had been with the company a long time, and the restaurant manager had really been a valuable asset to the company in that he was a mentor to other restaurant managers. I ensured that this restaurant manager knew what he was doing because he had been through sexual harassment training, and we also had the documentation where he had signed stating he had been through the training. Furthermore, I explained to him, and there was a Supreme Court case of Ellsworth versus Burlington Industries, which is a classic quid pro quo. And the fact that this restaurant manager had engaged in behavior, and that not only was he aware and the victim was aware, but also there was a third party, which was the male server who witnessed her state of condition the night of the event, and then the fact that her supervisor was told about the incident, that she had immediately went back and told her supervisor. I explained to the owner that this is putting the company in great liability if he continues to employ this manager. He finally made the right decision and went ahead and separated employment with this restaurant manager.